Hello. Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball?
This is Adam Silver.
Trust in Masai. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball
Podcast.
Nice.
That's falling down a well.
Yeah, that's good. I am your host, Freddie Rivas, and I think my internet will hopefully be okay. Already some signs of fading, but we'll fight through just in case. But always carrying me is my lovely producer, Maddie. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, Fred, I am your producer. I'm Matt Duncan. We are today in the season 9 finale of the Confederacy of Dunks. The playoffs are officially over. So before I throw back to you, thanks to everyone who's been listening all season, from when we were on Sonar to the switch over to Raptors Republic. We really appreciate it. We're having a great time, and we're excited to keep doing off-season specials throughout the summer and then start up with season 10 in October.
God damn it. Right. Thank you, Maddie. Bless your heart. I know it's sad times for you not being able to use your snowblower, but winter will come. I just want to say also thanks to everyone who's been listening, supporting. It's been a fun move to Raptors Republic. If you're tuning into the podcast for the first time or you're coming back, we're hardcores, we're analysts, we're comedians, we're performers. So if you are, any one of those, or just a basketball nut in general, you've made it to the right place. Mm-hmm. And let me throw back to you, Maddie. Just, if people want to help us, if people want to, contribute in any way or kind of like big us up, how can they do that?
Well, if you're watching the segments on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. We've also got a lot of other great podcasts on Raptors Republic that you got to check out. We've got a couple guests from different podcasts today, which Freddie will get into, which is exciting. But yeah, we've got in our social medias, our Instagram and our Twitter, we've got Linktree set up. It's going to take you everywhere you want to go. You want to go to the podcatchers, you want to go to raptorsrepublic.com, listen there. You can go to our website, dunkspodcast.com. It has been rebranded. It looks good. It looks sweet. It looks nice. So yeah, just look down in your descriptions, in your notes, your show notes, and there's plenty of linkage for you there.
Maddie, you're a beast. Thank you very much. Another shout out, because she deserves more than one, to Taylor McLean for just building an absolutely amazing website for us. But yeah, let's bring on the guest. But before I do, I will say, keep following. It should be close to everyone's heart. But Free Brittany Griner. If you don't know who that is or what I'm talking about, Google it, figure it out. It's an important issue that we should all be invested in. Okay, let's start with you, Mac. I recently listened to your draft pod. It was super informative, and I think I wanted to take this in a certain direction. I'm not like a draft expert, so I wanted to kind of lean into both of all three of our fan experiences. So I guess I'm wondering, as a Raptor fan, as a Raptor analyst, which Raptor draft, you can pick from any of our draft picks, like which draft pick was the most memorable for you? Good or bad, most memorable?
There's two, but for one, I could go with DeRozan. In 2009, it was probably like the first draft class where I actually followed it thoroughly, and I zeroed in on DeRozan as like my favorite prospect. And then when the Timberwolves picked Rubio and Johnny Flynn, I was ecstatic. And then, then what happened is we end up selecting DeRozan, and the rest is history. And another moment that that stands out is when we drafted Bruno Caboclo, and then I think it was Adam Silver said Cabolo. He didn't even know the guy's name. So
Yeah, he was like, "Where's this guy from?" Yeah.
So those are two moments that stand out to me.
Great picks. I remember the DeRozan draft too. I think the thing with him was sort of like, this is the athlete of the draft. I remember I kept hearing that, like, this is the most athletic guy. I had followed the draft before that, obviously because the Raptors had a bunch of bad seasons, but also I think I was still figuring things out. There was a part of me that was like, maybe we'll draft James Harden. And he went third overall, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I don't understand the draft that well, but you know what I mean? I was just like, oh yeah, I really want this guy James Harden, and he went like way before the Raptors had a chance, and I was like, all right, let me leave this to the experts. And Bruno, I mean, we don't talk about Bruno except we do, right? Like he was Masai's first love. Inspired. He was, right. He inspired a G League team. I know I'm speaking like so poetically, right? My wife watches Encanto like once a day. Okay, so just know that. But but Bruno was it was a time. It was a specific vibe. I think we had no idea what was going on. We weren't really sure. Like, Masai hadn't put his imprint on the team yet. And yeah, I mean, Bruno and DeRozan, great picks. Cathryn, what's up? What's your most memorable draft pick?
All right. So I we all know the top like Raptors draft picks, right? Like we all know about like Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, Scotty Barnes. So, I decided to dive a little deeper into this. Okay. And I'm going with he was a number 2 pick in the draft, and we got him. It was Marcus Camby in 1996, and the 1996 draft class is famous for a lot of other people not named Marcus Camby, and I think that is why it should be one of our most memorable. Just to go through some of the highlights here. Now, Allen Iverson was drafted number 1 overall, so we did not have a chance at Allen Iverson, but we could have gotten a Kobe Bryant, a Steve Nash, a Peja Stojakovic, a Ray Allen, a Stephon Marbury, Sharif Abdul-Rahim. There's a lot of guys there, but Marcus Camby was here for a few years before he was eventually, I think, traded to the Knicks, if I remember correctly. But I feel like in the Raptors, lexicon, we do not reminisce enough on the fact that we had the number 2 pick in the 1996 draft, and it was only our second year ever in the draft, and that's what we did with it. Those are some growing pains.
Yeah, well said. And I feel like it's interesting to think about, how stacked that draft was, because also, Marcus Camby is like, I don't think anyone would ever refer to him as like a bust. He was a good player. Just a fantastic shot blocker. And, but yeah, it's interesting because that's like kind of peak. That's like almost like before toxic Raptors. Like we were still just like, that's like
we were Skydome Raptors.
Yeah,
still.
We were Skydome. That's like baby deer Raptors,
I think there was a rule with the expansion teams that we weren't allowed to get the number 1 pick. And that's why we didn't end up with the number 1 pick in that draft. So it was just our bad luck that we had bad luck that we couldn't end up with Iverson. But yeah. Yeah,
and the year before too, I'm just looking. We Damon drafted a 7th overall, which is a great pick. And I speaking of backgrounds, I got to put up from a friend. I got a signed Jimmy King from the Sears catalog as a Raptor. Picture. So, shout out Jimmy King, largely unknown member of the Fab Five. But mine, I got to go just straight down memory lane. where, this is when I got three brothers, and we became season seat holders during Colangelo's first year. I guess I was sort of a baby deer as well, just like all optimism, thinking, Colangelo was going to change basketball. He's Jerry Colangelo's son. This is like, a decade before whatever, like his Twittergate collar thing.
I was gonna say he changed basketball with his burner accounts.
He sure did. And he was also like a part of the process, I guess. Like he was the person that came in after Hinkie, and then also left. And the process continues, I guess, for Philly. But Bargnani. He wasn't really. I think people knew about him, but he was a out of nowhere pick. It felt like. But also, I remember the conversation was kind of like, we got the next Dirk. And I've said it on the podcast before, but, being a basketball fan for a long time changes you. I've had a lot of conversations and a lot of bars telling people that Bargnani was going to become Dirk. And I mean, years into his career. Like, I held on to that Bargnani faith for a while. And it was exciting, to your point too, Mac. Like it was the first and only time the Raptors have had the number one overall pick. So yeah, we could have got Aldridge. There's a bunch of guys in that draft. To your point, Cathryn, like there was people that were better than Bargnani that we could have got, but it was exciting. And it was my first year being like a season seat holder. Always got to shout out Section 309. But that's my memorable choice. Andrea Bargnani, Primo Pasta. Yeah, right. Do we just like came in like the Beastie Boys and dropped a Primo Pasta? I mean, that is like, I feel like that's one of the most synonymous things with any one player in Raptors history. Is just like,
oh, for sure. Now that you say that, I can't believe there wasn't like an early like social media internet like rap remix of the Primo Pasta. Like how everything that went pseudo viral became like a song.
Yeah, it was all like DJ Porter.
Yeah, like I can't believe that didn't become a song somehow. That was a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, someone needs to like
maybe it's not too late. Maybe Maddie, Confederacy of Dunks producer, could make it happen. You've got the skills.
I'll look into
I don't know if you have the musical skills, but you have other technical skills.
Maddie's like, don't give me more work. But Maddie, if you don't mind, if you could just put together like
you could just do a full remix.
Yeah,
for us.
do a full like remix, like the Raptors' darkest times, like throwing a Hito ball.
Oh,
you know what? I've got a very thin connection to Drake, so I will talk to one of his producers.
Yeah. Would you explore that thin connection, please?
Yeah.
You've been talking about it for years.
I know.
And just go ahead and watch Space Jam if you don't mind.
Right.
But yeah, Matt's halfway through Space Jam. He said he's going to finish it this weekend.
Really? No.
Wait, which one?
No
which
way.
one?
Number one.
He's never watched it.
Yeah.
I've
Never watched it.
Wow.
Did you, Matt? Did you actually start Space Jam?
Yeah, I did start it.
What finally convinced you to start it? We've been bugging you for years.
Well, I started to feel the pressure, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta get into this because I feel like I'm not a true basketball fan until I get it done. But so I'm still not a true basketball fan. I guess is what I'm saying.
At what part in the movie did you stop?
Oh, like once their possession came into the game, like the players were getting possessed. Weren't they getting possessed by tunes or something?
All their powers got
Nasty
stolen.
tune? Yeah.
Oh, so you mean once the actual plot of the movie started?
Yeah. That's like as soon as I realized it wasn't about golf, I just was like, "What is this thing?" Okay, let's move on. But
I had to learn.
No, it's important background on the pod. Okay, let's go to you. Let's go to you on this one, Mac, to start off, and hopefully it's not too convoluted. But yeah, there's been a lot of rightful legacy talk with the Warriors. I just was listening to the Low Post today with Steve Kerr, kind of sharing a bunch of stuff about Clay and Draymond and Steph's humility and all this kind of stuff. But I think the other part of legacy is sort of what's interesting me right now, and it's kind of like the loser's legacy. I think when you don't win a championship, that also affects your legacy. And I think at the when you talk about the top players or players that haven't won yet or franchises or whatever, I'm just there's no real right answer here. It's kind of obviously like an opinion based question, but whose person or team legacy was impacted by losing? And obviously it doesn't have to be the Celtics because they were, in the finals, but like, any team that didn't win this year or player. Who's your, most impacted by not winning, Mac?
I think it would be the Brooklyn Nets, like as a whole.
Yep.
I think that experiment where they want to make a super team and go for that approach, I think that kind of officially closed. As you can see, like with the last couple teams in the finals, they're not super teams. They're teams that were built organically and had their hardships, and then they gradually added pieces to make them better.
Yeah.
And with the Nets, you had Kyrie's injuries, the vaccination stuff, Harden losing patience, Ben Simmons being not mentally prepared to suit up and compete.
Yep.
It was such a crazy rise and fall of an organization. So I think the Brooklyn Nets would be my, I guess, legacy hindered team.
Yeah, legacy hindered. That's what I should have called this. Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. And I'll even throw in Steve Nash, right? Like, is he like a young ingenue coach? Doesn't look like it. And, I think that doesn't mean that he won't be successful, but Steve Kerr, if I'm not mistaken, won a championship his first year. Nurse won a championship his first year. Ime Udoka, made it to the finals his first year. So yeah, it's and Brooklyn was a super team. I think the other super team, the Lakers, they did win a ring in the bubble, right? So they'll always have that. Anthony Davis will always have that. LeBron will always have his fourth. So obviously KD, has rings, and Kyrie has a ring, but that I think it's a really good point. Like the death of the super team, or at least like the super team we know, I think reflects the most in the Brooklyn Nets. Even they traded like a guy like Jared Allen, let him go and kept DeAndre Jordan. Like they were going hard. They didn't even make it out of the first. They got the only team this year to get swept, right? So
it's crazy.
Great answer. Cathryn, who's your like legacy hindered team or player?
I mean, honestly, I have the same answer because I think it's pretty it's pretty disastrous, everything that's happened with the Brooklyn Nets. Not only, did this super team fail, all the assets, like you said, that they gave up to make this happen, I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I don't know what the future of this team is. I really don't know what Kevin Durant's future is in terms of him trying to have this like legacy outside of the Warriors. I mean, it's a colossal failure for them. And I don't really know how they get out of it. I mean, of course, like there's going to be a lot of off-season Kyrie Irving talk, and I would not be surprised if he was moved. But let's be real, this is not the Brooklyn Nets that Kevin Durant left Golden State for anymore. So that poses a whole new set of questions. And I think Kevin Durant is a great player, and I don't want to like hold all this BS against him because it was a lot of it was outside of his control. Like, let's be real.
Totally.
But at the same time, like this was a risk that he took that has not paid off, and it is going to hurt his legacy. And I'm really curious to see in the next, let's call it a 2 to 3 window max for him, how he's going to attempt to bounce back from this. I don't have hope for Kyrie Irving to win another championship. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't have hope for it because I don't think the will is there. Same with James Harden. I don't think the will or want is really there. But I do think Kevin Durant still really wants to win. So we'll see. It's a very interesting and confusing dynamic. As far as Steve Nash being a coach, he's Kevin Durant's guy, and I think he was there to be the personality fit guy, which they desperately needed. And he kind of needs, like, remember how like Phil Jackson had like what was his name, like Tex, I want to say Tex Winters, was that his name? Did I just make up a name?
No, that's a guy.
Tex Winters, like kind of behind him, really like the orchestrator of the triangle offense and things like that. Maybe Steve Nash is that type of guy where he's more like the face, and then the assistant coach is like the brilliant mind. But I don't know if I want to write him off as a coach just yet. But yeah, they have a deeply questionable and very interesting future.
Yeah, I mean, well said. So many good points, and I agree 100%, Cathryn. And I always sort of, when someone has a really good opinion, I kind of, I'm like, hey, that's a good take, and it sticks with me. And long time ago, this is pre-vaccine stuff, which Mac alluded to. You were I think the first person I heard describe Kyrie as like someone who is, the talent's undeniable, but he's someone who kind of just doesn't like his job. And, there's a part of him, like he's incredible. Right. But there's something there. Like, it's something like he doesn't want to be there in some capacity. And it's hard to put your finger on, but like, yeah, I think it is. The experiment is a failure, and great points about like, we should still be nuanced when it comes to KD, like, but it hasn't worked out. And back to what Mac was saying, all these teams are organic now. So it's tough to go from this like super team idea to where it's sort of like, these are the best guys, everyone fall in place, to then be like, you know what? Let's actually be organic, because being organic and having like a good culture and sort of that, that kind of idea takes time. You got to like, so it's a long recipe. It's a slow cook. So, it's hard to turn that around. I feel like, you both said Brooklyn. That to me is the right answer. My answer feels cute now, but I'm just going to say it anyways. It's not so much the Phoenix Suns, but Chris Paul. And I don't think his legacy, I think anyone that writes off Chris Paul, if he finished his career without a finals appearance or without a championship, is kind of, whatever. Like, I don't want to say casual, but like it's not a serious way to approach what Chris Paul did to the game. Like, he's such a legend. But I think in the same way that, Al Horford made it to the finals, and, even though he didn't win, it's like this guy who's an incredible player, not as good as Chris Paul, obviously, but like he has this thing where he's like, I made it to the finals. And it's just a thing that you expect most great players to do at some point in their career, then, it's notable when they don't, right? Like Steve Nash. And I think for Chris Paul, like, who knows, maybe Phoenix kind of takes that hit and, just like is able to like massage the regular season. We were talking about this on your pod a little bit yesterday, Cathryn, the way Golden State paced out their year. Maybe Phoenix does more of that, and they actually are, in a better shape come the playoffs. But it seemed like they were primed, right, to do big things. Oh, wait a second.
Well, they were healthy minus COVID.
My whole answer kind of fell apart because Chris Paul was in the finals last year. You know what? There you go.
I didn't mean to laugh in the mic like that. Sorry.
No, please laugh in the mic. I got to call myself out because people probably listening to that answer and they're like, what is this guy smoking? He got off or he didn't get off fast enough on the Delano Banton bus. Like, this guy's trashed. But I guess I'll save my own answer by just sort of saying that Phoenix to me seemed like a team on a mission. Chris Paul seemed like a player on a mission to get this like last decorated thing. And, Booker's young. I just think with the turmoil with Ayton and all that kind of stuff, It seems like,
Well, let me ask you this: like,
I don't know.
do you think Phoenix has another realistic run in them?
No.
I guess I'm
don't.
saying I don't really think so, but I guess it wouldn't totally shock me. What about you, Mac?
I don't think so, because they have a couple holes on that team. You mentioned that the Ayton issue. He might not be on the team next year. I don't know why they let go of Jalen Smith so easily, and they don't really have a power forward that can help them a switchability on the defensive end. And I see teams like the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. They're on the come up.
Yeah.
And I feel like those teams will like jump over the Phoenix Suns in the next couple of years. So I don't see them making it to the finals again.
Agreed.
Listen to full episodes of the Confederacy of Dunks only on the Rapcast.